Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this video. It's Phil Beck with your professional painter and decorator. Coming back with well, at last I'm actually getting on this project of revamping and refurbing this flat. It's in that series of videos there. There's probably a couple, as I said in the last video, a couple of weeks back or a couple of videos back. Not had a chance to do much on this, but we're on it now. I'm starting. And yeah, we're going to start in the bedroom because I'm still waiting for the plumber. He's still got to finish a bit in the bathroom to get that toilet out. Still waiting. Once I can get that toilet out, then I can start getting some tiles off. But what I'm going to do, the original video that you saw in that playlist, the bedroom is vinyl silk, ceiling and walls. The old tenant, going back years, decided to paint everything vinyl silk. So today I'm coming in, I'm going to get this freshened up. I've got the Merca Laros. Do you know what? I'll get my moan out of the way straight away. Do you know what? This is £1,000, as good as £1,000 for a wall sander. It's the most expensivest piece of equipment you'll probably buy as a painter and decorator for sanding walls. It's, talk about overpriced. Add it to a Merca vacuum cleaner, you're looking at 1,200–1,300 quid. It's ridiculous. That's before you buy the Deros and the other one, whatever the other one's called, the small one. Talk about mad pricing. Anyway, I've got the Laros. Oh, do you know what? It doesn't even come with the extension bar. You're watching Merca. That should come free for the price of that. It's a ridiculous price. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go over all this vinyl silk with the Merca and 120 grade sandpaper disc. Painting over vinyl silk, really, yeah, you don't need to be sanding it down. You don't need to be sanding it down to an inch of its life, and you definitely don't need to be sanding it down back to bare plaster. The reason I'm just going to go over all these walls is, one, give it a little bit of a key, but also where the tenant, it's not very smooth, a little bit orange peely, so I just want to try and improve on these wall textures and the finish. So what I'll do is go over the ceiling, which I've got slopey ceilings because I'm in the, did I tell you it's the penthouse, the top floor penthouse flat, yeah. I'm going to go over just to give a bit of a key, get the surface down there, any noggins, bits of skin that's been left on the surface from their paint, I'll try and get those off. Also, there's a little bit of damage on that door frame, it's the corner edge of the plaster there. What I'll do, when I come to it, I've got a putty knife, I've got a scraper, I'll just scrape any loose off, go over the wall with a sander, and then once I've sanded, I'll put some filler, which I use the Tikkurila Presto F. I'll fill it up today, so when I come to do the walls tomorrow, that'll be dry, and I'll just be able to hand sand that down. There's the same issue just over here, where they've done some filling, you can see it just there. What I'll do, I'll scrape that off first, and then I'll just refill over it and make it look a bit more presentable. And also check any walls with any indentations. I'm not one of these that goes around all the walls saying, oh, the plastering's bad, it's a bit uneven, I've got to sand it smooth. Do you know what? I might look at it, but nobody else looks at it. You might look at it, nobody else looks at it. Why do you need to get them as smooth as a baby's bottom like that? You don't. The plastering's the plastering. You just improve the best you possibly can. But what I'm going to do, so I want to try and keep this about a 20–25 minute video and complete the whole room for you. I'm going to be doing the ceiling. I've got, I don't know what you can see there, because I'm trying to use up anything I've got in the workshop. Now, if any paint suppliers, manufacturers listening to this video want to reach out to me and send me some paint for free, that'd be ace. That'd be ace. I'm using up what I've got. It's because I don't want to spend any more than what I need to spend. I've got plenty of paint in the workshop I can use up from jobs and stuff that we've had too many tins left. Anti-reflex 2 on the ceiling. That'll be ideal on here. I've got 2 coats to go on there. That's what I want to do today. The woodwork, I know what it was before because I did it when it was a new flat first time round. It's oil eggshelling crown all the way through. It's either gardenia or magnolia. I think it's more gardenia coloured, which was soft white. Gardenia is more the Dulux colour. Soft white is the equivalent. is it 08 or B15 or 10B15, one of those. One's Magnolia 08B15, one's Gardenia 10B15, I can't remember. I've that much knowledge in here, I'll forget more than I probably remember now. So I know it was that. My idea now is clean it down. I've got a cloth. I'm limited on water on this job because all the water's turned off, so I've had to bring some water up in canisters. I've got some degreasing spray, kitchen spray, just to wipe around all the woodwork, just to clean it down before I sand it down. But what I'm going to do, and you might have seen on a previous video, when you're changing from oil-based paints, surfaces, stroke glossy surfaces, I always like to give a grip primer. Can't say it. I like to give a grip primer first. So what I'm going to do is get all this cleaned down, all the woodwork, dust it off, obviously after I've sanded it down, dust it off, and I'm going to give it a coat of, on this job, 1, 2, 3. It's just bullseye 1, 2, 3. This will act as the primer stroke grip primer prior to me putting on water-based eggshell. And you're going to say, what water-based eggshell are you going to use on this room? Because I'm going to try and do mix and match of paints. The whole flat will probably be white eggshell stroke satin wood on the woodwork, because we'll have a change. But I'm going to use, because I was impressed with that when I used it on Doris the Door, how many months ago. I've got the eggshell WRX. I like that. So this bedroom's going to have the eggshell, which is a bit flatter finish. I quite liked, move out the light, move around. I quite liked that flatter finish compared to the satin on the WRX. And I'm going to use it in here. Now, I've got the windowsills to do, I've got the skirtings to do, door and door frame, so nothing major. But the plan is today, get the ceilings 2-coated, clean the woodwork down, obviously stand everything down, clean the woodwork down and get a coat of 1, 2, 3, Zinza 1, 2, 3 on the woodwork first, and then that'll just give me that grip primer. Not an arc. I'm seeing a lot of people on Facebook, TikToks, Reels and everything like that. They're using oil-based paints, and I don't know why you'd use oil-based paints. There's some really cracking water-based paints out there now. And I see people are doing oil eggshell. And do you know what they're using? They're using an oil eggshell and putting it over an oil undercoat. Now, to me, that screams out that you don't know about your products. Because if you're using oil-based satin woods or oil-based eggshells, they're self-undercoating. So you don't need the undercoat. You put 2 coats of the oil eggshell or oil satin wood over your surface you're going on. The only reason you put an undercoat on first is if you're going over bare wood, you prime it first and then give it 2 coats. But if it was me, I'd be priming it, undercoating it, and then giving it 2 oil eggshells because I'm getting that build-up of paint. But if you've already got a surface that's got paint on it that's clean and sound, you don't oil undercoat, then oil eggshell or oil satin wood. You give it 2 coats of oil eggshell because it's self-undercoating. All pros, all professional decorators should know that. Not everybody does. Right, that's been made. Right, I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get the sander out and then we'll get some sanding. You'll see me doing a little bit of that, but I don't want to bore you sanding the whole room down. When I come to doing a bit of raking out around the skirting board, around the windowsills, I'll show you that and tell you what I'm going to do with it. So just bear with us. It'll be an interesting one if you want to know how to paint a room out, particularly when the room's been vinyl silk. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. It's straightforward. Just bitting and mobbing about. Now, where the ex-tenant's done a bit of filling, it's very rough. It's like textured Artex. Now, I don't know if you've seen one of these before. These are wallpaper strippers. It's an Offler. I think Beeline did them years ago with a blue handle. It's got a straight, sharp, well, this is a used blade. I've got a used blade in it because I didn't want a really sharp one. It's a wallpaper stripper. I would say 9 times out of 10, this will get your wallpaper off without needing a steam stripper. Get the face off and scrape the backing, and then you can soak the backing in with hot soapy water and then get the backing off with an ordinary 4-inch flat blade scraper. Dead easy. But what I'm going to do with this is, because it's a sharp blade still, albeit not a brand spanking new sharp blade, I'm just going to take the highlighted heavy relief off before I start sanding. See what I'm doing? And then where he's got it filled, I'm just, because all professional tools normally have a metal end on it, so you can do knocking back in. So I've scraped that off, knocked back in what he's filled, And then that allows me to fill that properly with the stuff I've got, which is the Presto F. The same principle there. Just get the highlighted relief off. Knock in. And then that saves me having to sand down vigorously with the Merca too much. So that's that bit. And I'll show you the little bit over there that I'm going to do as well. Right, this is where the door handle has been banged into it before the door stop was on. Now it's just fractured and cracked across that bead edging there. So all I'm going to do, because there's a bit of a sharp corner there, I'm just going to carefully just rake that out, scrape it back, rake it out ready for filling. Now when you do filling on cracks, you really want to be doing a wedge V shape. So when you put your filler in, it sticks and adheres. Don't do a straight put down. You really want to be going down on a bit of an angle, just like what I'm doing there. You probably can't see it too well. And then just scrape off any flaky pieces there. And again, I've just done that prior to me going over with the Merca. So just make sure it's raked out nicely. Just check there's no flaky paint on the edges that's loose. And in effect, I've got a duster brush in my pocket. All decent decorators have a proper duster brush in the pocket. Just dust it out, check it. That's not far off ready for filling up. So yeah, I'm going to crack on sanding now. I'll get the expensive toy out. Did I tell you it's £1,000 for that Laros? Mental. That's mental money. I'll show you a little bit, then I'll stop it and I'll get the room done. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about the skirting boards. Just raking out the top edges, ready for filling with a bit of cork. Make sure you put it on the surface before you turn it on. I've just sanded that wall down. It's got a little bit of the texture of the orange peel off, which I'm not going to be sanding all that off. I can see where filler's been put into, you know, where pictures have been before. So it's sanding that down. Quite happy with that. I'm going up as close as I can to the angles. I'm not worried too much about the very tight corners. And then going close to the skirting boards as well down at the bottom. When I come to the skirting board, what I'll do, I'll just rake out the top edge if anything's loose, make sure it's all cleaned out, and then all the skirting, I'll run a bit of bead of cork round. I used the Red Devil one-time cork, never have any problem with that, never had any problem with that. It's an interior-exterior cork, really good, dries within about 25 minutes. Even when I spray over it, it's never had any problem for crazing, so that's good. And I'm talking too much, let me crack on. I want to get this all sanded down. Okie dokie. Right, we've merced all the ceiling and walls down, and I go on about that £1,000 Merca. But there's no way I would hand sand, even with a pad sander, as good as what a Merca or an electric sander like that, dustless air extraction, whatever you call it. There's no way I would sand down as well as a Merca dustless extraction unit sander. What's it take me? 20 minutes? 20? Let's call it half an hour. And the pressure you can put on is a lot better than doing it by hand because you've got a bigger pad. Right, what I've done, there's a couple of fine cracks just around the, I'm going to say coving edge. There's no coving in this apartment. Just around the top, between the ceiling and the walls. I've just carefully raked those out, dusted them off, and I've put a little bit of well, I call it fine surface, it's not, it's the Presto F from Tikkurila. You're going to say, why do you use Presto F? I find it's a tub. It's a ready-made tub filler. Some people moan about, oh yeah, but the filler dries on the side, it drops in. Not if you if you know about tub management, you make sure you clean the side down, and while it's still soft on the side, it's then back in the middle. So there's no actual drying of filler on the side dropping into the wet stroke usable filler. That's by the by. But I find this, it's not one of these fillers that, like a poly filler, you know, powder mix filler that you could say, get it on and within 20 minutes it's dry, you'll be sanding it down. This dries when it wants to dry. It's one of these ones that if I put on, I do it and then I'm sanding it the next day. And I use it because I found that if you use the powder filler, like poly filler, just, you know, the water and powder mix, when you use that and then you go over with emulsions, I know a lot of people don't, but you should actually spot prime those areas first. So the paint soaks into the filler to even out the porosity, and when you come with your first coat, it doesn't soak it in and show a flashing spot. But even with a primer coat and then a couple of coats over the top, you sometimes still see where your filler's been. I did find with this, reduces it down dramatically. Yeah, you don't really get much flashing with this, particularly if you do it and it's dry for the next day. So that's what I don't want to give an endorsement, but it's really good stuff. There's other makes out there that are similar, but we do like the Tikkurila Presto. Right, I'm getting on now. I'm going to be coating the ceiling up. You know, I've got anti-reflex too, because that's what we go in the workshop. It's white. It's a lovely paint. It's better than contract matte. I found with contract mattes, they always seem to come off on your sponge when you're wallpapering and stuff like that. This doesn't show any flashing when you get your roller and your brush marks, so it's a really good flat finish. If you've got another paint that you think's on a par with this, tell me, some comments. Right, what am I going to do? I'm going to cut in around the edges, and I'm not one of these that cuts in and goes around with a mini roller, because I find if you're quick and you're a professional and you're feathering out that edge, by the time you come with your main roller, you're cutting in really close to that ceiling edge anyway. So what's the point in going around with a mini roller? Tell me. I know what you're going to say, but we're a professional. Time is money. You're not faffing about. That's what folks do when they like weekend painting, don't they? Go around with mini roller. There's a time and a place for a mini roller, and it's not when you're doing ceilings and stuff and main walls, if you know what you're doing. Yeah. Right, what roller am I going to use? Right, I've got a Knorr roller frame. This is a new one. Scott sent me this to try out from Paint Monster. No money's changed hands, no sponsorship. It was just a case, have you seen these products? So I've got a Knorr roller frame, cage, whatever you want to call it. And I've got a few roller sleeves. Now, various roller sleeves, various naps. I'm going to try this one out. Now, it's the traditional. You saw probably a video on the mini roller that I used. Now, this is fast results with all paints. I'm doing a ceiling. It's nothing complicated. And it says lint free. So I'm going to use this straight out the packet without washing it out. Some of the other rollers do say wash out, dry, and then you're away to go, or you wrap around your tape. But as an experiment and trying, and it's only a ceiling, I'm going to see how this is. Lint free, I shouldn't be getting any fluff off it. It's a 15mm, so it's going to give enough paint. A lot of people say some of the lower pile rollers don't hold enough paint, and I know where you're coming from, because if you go back 30 years, everybody used the sheepskin roller because it held a load of paint and you could roll away. But I'm going to try what this is and see if it's any good for the ceiling. And I know some of you are probably already commenting already. Right, the carpet. I'm having new carpet, so I'm not worried about the carpet. The carpet will be cut around the edges and I will paint below what the carpet is. So yeah, I'm having new carpet. I'm not sheeting down. This carpet through the flat cost me 1,600 quid about 3 years ago, and I'm going to say I'm not happy with it, so it's coming out. My wife says, I don't like that, and I went, I'm not, it's coming out. So we're going to bite the bullet and put new carpet all the way through. And again, it was 1,600 quid. I didn't think that was cheap. And it's not expensive, but anyway, I'm going to get rolling and cutting in, and you'll see what I'm doing. Right, I'm cutting in. Obviously, this paint goes on a dream because we're going over vinyl silk. But what brush I'm using, I don't know whether you can still get them anymore. I know Josh now works for Lick Paint, but these are the old, they're not that old because this is quite a new one to me. It's an Eco Union 4-inch. Brilliant brush, and you'll see what I'm doing when I say I don't need to be doing mini rollering. You cut in and you feather it, and then you ain't got a fatty edge. And don't forget, when you're painting, if you're a DIYer, just paint one wall at a time. Don't cut the whole room in, because that cutting in edge is drying off on you, and that's where people are going wrong, getting that fatty edge build up, and then you end up with picture framing. There's very few times I get a picture framing, and it's more down to the colour and the pigment of the paint brand than anything else. But on this, I'm cutting in and I'm rolling. And what I'll do, I'll just set the camera back slightly there, and you'll see me cutting. I'll stop the video, get all the way around, and then I'll roll that and we'll see what it's rolling like. What I've done with the roller, you can see down there, I don't want to call it wetting in. I've bedded the roller into the paint now, so that's soaking into all the nap of the fabric, and then that'll be ready to go. Which to me is like washing it out, other than you wash out to get rid of the fluff. I'm gabbling on. Right, I'm going to cut in a bit more for you. Not a bad roller sleeve. There is a little bit of sprinting, which you'd probably expect with a 15mm longer power roller, but held enough paint for that. That was fine. Did you see how close I could actually cut into the edge? When you're using a single arm roller frame, you can actually cut in with the end of the roller that's not actually the metal frame. So I can get really close into that. That's why you don't need to be doing mini rollers if you can cut in close with that. Went up and down there. That section, first section there, I had to bed the roller in because it needed a little bit more working into the paint. Anti-reflex too, a few little bits of paint skins in it, but other than that I was alright, I could see that. What I'm going to do now, because I'm quite happy with that, I'm going to come across all the ceiling and go down the other side, and I'll say see you later, alligator. Alright then, got a coat on the ceiling, I've got a blower heater, I'm trying to get it dried off. Anti-reflex 2 dries quite well. Now I'm just hoping that I picked up paint out of the workshop. I don't know whether it's the paint that I use for spraying ceilings, so there might be a touch of water in it, so it might not be as, coverage for that first coat might not be as good as I liked, but hey ho, I'm using up stuff so I don't have to buy new. While I'm waiting for that drying, these cracks, while I was going around the ceiling cutting in, I just wafted over, just like to prime it in. Priming just a little bit of bare plaster that was there. I have got, actually I brought peel stock with me in case any of the paint over the contract matte paint was peeling off, because with it having vinyl silk on, I didn't know what it was going to be like when I scraped it back. But actually it was tight, so I've just put a little bit of emulsion over it just to back prime it. And then I've just got the Presto F, and all I'm going to do now, because I'm going to come back this tomorrow, I'm just going to get a first coat of filler, first fill, and all you do is just squeeze it in, bring it down, and do it like that. Now you'll probably see air bubbles starting to come as you force the filler in. So what you do is you just go back over it, keep going back over it till you feel you've squeezed everything out. And because I'm letting it dry and sanding it tomorrow, I'm going to make it a little bit proud. so I've got something to rub down so it won't sink too much. So now I've got that in, which is nearly smooth, I'm just going to go slightly over the top, go over it again, and then put enough on. Just seeing if it's a bit flexy. Oh, actually the wall's a bit flexy, but not much you can do about that. I don't want to go too... If you've got a really flexy wall, you drill a hole in there, you get your silly foam, expandable foam, and pack that out, stop that flex, but I'll see. If it becomes a problem, that's what I'll have to do. So just putting enough on. That's a little bit proud, and I can sand that tomorrow when it's dry, because it will be dry tomorrow. I'll just go back over to the corner, and I know some of you are saying, what colour are you doing the walls? I can't even give you a reference number for the wall colour, because I'm using I'm using 3 tins of Optiva 5 at our workshop. 2 of them are the same colour, a little bit of a off-white, creamy, and then I've got a tin that's a little bit deeper, and I'm going to mix the 3 together, so it gives me, well, 2.7s. I've got 3 2.7s, which will give me just under 9 litres of paint, which will be ample for these walls. So I don't know what the colour is. It's a Phil Beckwith special. Right, hole there, it's quite deep. Push it in. Little bits of holes around it, and again, I'm making sure I'm pushing plenty in. It looks like it's bubbling out with a little bit of air pressure, but it's not, because what I'll do is push it in a bit more like that, go over the top, and I'll leave it like that, a little bit proud. So that'll sand down lovely. The same with this side there, that's not too bad. I scraped it off. I didn't bother spot priming that in, it wasn't bad enough. Just whip over that a few times, push it all the way in, get any air that might be behind it out, and then a final skim, a little bit prouder, and then I can sand that down tomorrow. And I think, to be honest, I don't think I've got any other filling in this room like that. You won't see my face on this one. I just want to talk about, you know, my wallpaper scraper, how good it is. Now, around these edges, because this was a new build 17 years ago, and what a big mistake is with contractors and also decorators today, there's a gap round window boards, windowsills, up against plaster, and they polyfiller it. Now, with a bit of movement, polyfiller dries and it goes brittle and crumbles and it comes away. Now, particularly when you've got it on the actual windowsill surface, it can look a right mess. So what I do, using this blade, and I said it isn't a brand new sharp blade because it's still sharp as it is as a used one, I go around and with it being flat, I can scrape across that surface and level it, and also use the edge to come across, and if there is any cork or silicone, heavens forbid, you can actually cut it out and start making it nice and sharp again. Now, you could say, I'll just chop it out. I've done it on the other side, so I'm working my way around. It's the same with these edges there. You can go round, turn it round, just draw it down the wall, and you can pull away any, there you go, look, cork and bits and pieces. That's brilliant. I'm not going to show you how you do it any more than that, because it's basic. I'll say basic stuff. It's like you only know the answer if you know it. You know what I mean? But you can use that flat against the wall, drag it down, and start pulling out any cork, silicone, or any filler that is a little bit proud, and you can neat it all up. Once you've done that, and once I've gone around all these sills, because there's all across there, same principle, clean it all out. Using that peel stop, I will just touch in all those edges with peel stop, because there is bare MDF there, and I'm not doing this all in one day. I can actually touch it in with peel stop, that's Zinza peel stop, which will just bind the edge, dry nicely. And what I find is, if I use that cork that one time and I'll get it, I'll go off and fade back in. I'm back. The one-time cork, with it being an interior exterior and this flexibility to it, I'd rather build it up with a couple of lines, beads, like put some in, build it up and build it up with a couple, then putting polyfiller in, and that holds. It won't dry solid, it'll still have that little bit of a flex. So if anybody's asking what cork I'm using, this one time, is it £2.50 a tube? You might get it cheaper if you buy in bulk. This is brilliant. I'll do that, clean them all out, bit of peel stop, go over with that, neaten them all up, job's a good one. Same principle when I go around the skirting. I'm not going to show you doing the skirting because that you will be dropping asleep. I clean the top edge, any loose, I rake it out, sand it down, and then just go around with a bead of that. Just wet your finger or get a cloth with a bucket and just wipe it over. I find if you go with a cloth and too much water, you can be pulling it out, and literally it is literally a damp finger, and wipe it and smooth it over. I know I've been on jobs where I've had joiners wanting to cork around new skirting for me with a sharp bladed edge to get a 90-degree angle in the angle. And I went, I'll leave you to it. But do you know, when I came back a few days later, the skirting had moved, there wasn't enough cork there, and it just looked to shoot. So I had to go back round, just cleaning it back down again, dusting it off, and I put a nice little bit of cork bead into it. I know it rounds it off slightly, but as a decorator, it's so much easier. It's so much easier when you come to paint, particularly if you're spraying or if you're taping your top edge to get a really crisp line. It's nice to have a little bit of a bead rounded edge into that angle. You're never going to get a proper 90-degree. It doesn't work. I've tried it, I've seen it. So that's what I'm going to do now for the next half an hour while my ceiling's drying. Get all these cleaned out, bit of peel stop, then before I leave tonight I'm going to pour a bit of cork in. So we're doing well. Right, we're doing good. We're doing very good. Raked out all the edges around the skirting, anything that was loose, not too much really. Raked it out, done around the windowsills, raked those out, got those clean. I've actually taken the door handle off and the latch, so I've got a clean run on that. What I'm going to do now, because we'll do this room in two parts, so what you see now is part one, and then we'll do the walls and main woodwork in part two, so we're not 40 minutes. But what I'm going to go around now is dust off all the woodwork. I've got some dust from Lidl, just some kitchen cleaner, all-purpose cleaner. I've got it in a little bucket with a soft microfiber cloth with some water. I brought the water with me because I've got I've got no toilet, no running water, no heating on. Oh, it's like being on a building site. Not that I'm used to building, far from used to building sites. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dust off all the woodwork now and wipe over it just to get any residue of splashes from children. You can imagine splashes of anything that's over the woodwork, dirty finger marks or everything, just to clean it down that way. Then I'm going to sand it down. I won't show you sanding it down. Let me just go off camera, I'll go and bring you the sandpaper, show you what I've got. And back, what I've got, I don't really use this, it's on a roll, you get 50-metre rolls, 25-metre rolls, can't remember. It's the Cling Spore, and I'm using 80 grade. Now that might be a little bit coarse for me, but what you do is you rip a piece off, and if you rub it together, you'll knock that 80 down to 100, 120. But seeing as this is oil-based eggshell from previous time of doing it, I'm going to give it a good key down with that. And then after I've cleaned out with the cleaner, dust off, give it a good sand down, and then I'm going to go around all the woodwork tonight. So I'm ready for tomorrow for part two. So tonight I want to finish off doing just a coat of 1, 2, 3 primer onto all the woodwork so it's dry for tomorrow, for bringing everything, walls and woodwork forward. And also I'll get that final coat on the ceiling because it's been a couple of hours now, that's about dry. So all good. I'm going to say over and out. You'll see me tomorrow. I might be still in the same gear so it keeps continuity of part one or A and B of this room. But thanks for listening. There might be some videos there. It's not going to be a late night. I'm only looking, it's late afternoons. I might lose the light. Don't forget, I'm going to be taking that down. So the light is coming down. I will lose light totally. But videos there. Clean the woodwork, sand it down, coat it up, do the ceiling. Job's a good one. We're on it tomorrow. Catch you on the next one.